During California's prolonged wet winter, beekeeper Gene Brandy in Los Baños said he had to spend twice as much money on a sugary syrup to feed his honeybees and keep them alive.
Normally we have to feed some of our hives in almonds every year, but this year we had to do a lot more feeding because the bees were not able to fly, and we just want to make sure that they don't starve to death on us.
That's because the bees sent to pollinate blooming almond orchards took longer than usual to emerge from their hives due to chilly temperatures, wind, and rain. Since the bees weren't out gathering nectar and pollen for nourishment, the 71-year-old beekeeper had to provide food for them.
We have a hole drilled on top of every hive cover that we can invert a can into and feed them that way, give them a gallon of sugar syrup to make sure that they don't starve.
It's one of the many challenges America's beekeepers face following the unusually wet winter that ravaged California's farm country, which feeds much of the nation.
Along with the rain and the snow came cold weather, and some of that cold weather was right during peak almond bloom in our part of the state. And the bees actually didn't fly significantly for 8.5 days in late February and early March. So that kept them from pollinating almonds.
Most commercial beekeepers send their bees to California early in the year to help pollinate the state's $5 billion a year almond crop. They then move the bees elsewhere to pollinate commodities ranging from avocados to cherries or to the Midwest to produce honey. Almond trees depend on bees for cross-pollination, and bees in turn feed on almond pollen, which helps sustain the hives throughout the bloom. While many people keep bees as a hobby, commercial beekeepers may have hundreds of hives and relocate their bees to pollinate various crops in distinct seasons. Almond growers say it's too soon to know if the delay in the bees' emergence will hurt the state's nut crop. According to the Almond Board of California, about 80% of the world's almonds come from the state.
Our expenses are higher. Like I say, the feed is higher, fuel is higher. Our queen bees are more expensive now than they used to be, but it's a cost of doing business. And like I say, we're very optimistic that we'll be able to make some honey this year.
There may be a sweet spot for California beekeepers, as the rain is expected to bring a burst of spring wildflowers, which could provide ample forage for bees and potentially translate into a good year for honey.
It has the makings of a great year. It should be a great year for honey in California.
Brandy said he'll take his hives to coastal areas this spring so bees can forage on a native plant to make sage honey, a premium product that he can only make every few years when there's ample rain. After that, Brandy, who sells honey to Bay Area buyers and a Midwest honey packer who supplies Costco, said his bees will head onward to feed other plants and make more honey.